Now then, Kevin on a story that's going viral even as we speak. The young woman who's divided opinion after turning down a job offer because she felt she was being bullied during the 2-hour interview. A whining, passive-aggressive snowflake or champion of the downtrodden job seeker? Here's Kevin.
Yeah, there was a time when keen young job seekers accepted ultra-tough interviews as all part of the process. If you can survive a verbal kicking, chances are you can handle the trials and tribulations of the working environment. I think that was the idea. Well, now it seems that time may be over after wannabe employee Olivia Bland turned the tables by likening her potential boss to, and I quote, an abusive ex. After what she described as a, again I quote, completely bizarre interview, 22-year-old Olivia denounced tech firm chief Craig Dean for allegedly deliberately humiliating and bullying her throughout a 2-hour ordeal. She says that Mr. Dean called her an underachiever, even though she has a first-class English degree, and he went on to actually offer the job she'd applied for as a communications assistant. Olivia also questioned why she was quizzed about whether her parents were still together, and criticised for her musical choices on Spotify.
Mind you, I've seen your choices on Spotify, Kevin, and they're a
always
crime
bring me
against
into
music.
every single subject. He can bring me into it. After the interrogation was finally over, Olivia said she burst into tears at the bus stop. Then she refused the job, explaining...
Did she at any point actually stand up for herself in the interview and address any of these problems with the person that she was working with?
Exactly, at the end of it, she said, he said, how was that? And she said, it was very difficult. She put it on...
So she didn't talk to him about it like an adult. She just went on social media and bleated like a spoilt child.
You could say that.
Right.
She put it on Twitter. It's had more than 100,000 likes. 43-year-old
Snowflake
Mr.
City?
Dean has apologised and declared he had no desire to see anyone hurt, and we should specify that his company, Web Applications UK of Oldham, have investigated this, and they have decided they are satisfied that there was no bullying or intimidation in this interview. Obviously, Olivia seeks to differ. Joining us now to give us her verdict on this strange situation is TV psychologist Honey Langcaster-James. Hello, Honey. Welcome to the studio.
Hello. It's nice to be here.
Wind down Friday. It's always nice to be here.
The question is, as Matthew just said, is Olivia a hero standing up for job seekers' rights, or is just a snowflake who doesn't understand that the workplace is a tough place and people will be nasty to you every day, and she better get used to it?
Well, in all honesty, I don't think the argument is that polarised. If I'm honest, I think certain extent I can understand why you might say, oh, she should have stood up for herself in that moment. I think we have to understand, though, you go to a job interview and who isn't nervous and being on their best behaviour, it puts you on the back foot. So often it is when we come away from a situation when we actually reflect on it and think,
although in a job offer for communications, one would expect you are supposed to have the ability to communicate.
Well, yes, but she's going viral on Twitter right now. So I mean,
she's a legal adult.
Well, yeah, you say that.
So it's just we send people into war to kill at 18, okay? And we don't go around saying, oh, they're so young. So when you're 21 and you're going for a job as communications, I don't think that's too young.
But
it's a job.
If you're opposite someone who is that aggressive, look, when I went for auditions, when I was in my 20s and I went to audition, in fact, I'm still go to auditions.
You're still in your 20s, right?
You can't tell with this plastic surgery. But anyway, in my 20s, I would be terrified, and I did not meet nice people. I tell you, when we're auditioning, and the way they speak to you and they belittle you. But I remember at that age being terrified of saying anything. It was only afterwards when I go, I wish I'd said that.
At that age, I was on local papers, and we were having to engage with press officers, communications people, and we would have to, because they would be defending their company by trying to block every inquiry. That sometimes the questioning can get quite heated,
yes,
and you'd expect someone to stand up for themselves.
But she is standing up for herself. I mean, the
afterwards,
fact that she's put this on
that's really
Twitter,
snidey, isn't it? She didn't stand up to the man. She hasn't given us any quotes of what he actually said. She's given us her feelings about how it went without any quotes to back anything up. So we don't actually know what he said, and then she goes on social media and basically calls him out and says what a horrible bloke he is, right? And he's not even. That's a form of bullying. That's passive aggressive.
Well, I take your point in the fact that obviously this is alleged of what happened, and we don't have enough evidence to know exactly what happened. But what I do think is really good that's come out of this, and if she's going into a career in communications, she's actually got people talking about it. And frankly, we should be talking about how people treat us, not only in job interviews, but in the workplace in general.
And should we also, as part of that conversation be talking about standing up for ourselves, because it's all very well saying he treated me badly or she treated me badly, but surely the other half of that equation is, and I said it to them, and I called them out on it.
That's easier said than done,
Yeah.
Matthew. Most people can't. I mean, you're
then-
someone who can actually,
Well,
you know,
maybe
you
we
can
need
talk
to
for England, and that's great.
Maybe we need to enable you, but not talking, to stand up for yourself, not to let people put you down,
Yes,
but to
but-
come back at them and not run off to social media and say, he had a go at me, but say it straight to their face.
I mean, at the end of the day, she turned the job down. I mean,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
young person in this today's society has got the kind of get up and go, if you like, to say, do you know what, stick your job.
Yeah.
How you spoke to me is not appropriate, and no thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is standing up for herself.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
in the
but-
moment, she was put on the back foot. She was a little nervous. She was in a very vulnerable situation.
What should
I
job
think more
interviews
power
be
to
like
her.
then? Do you have to mollycoddle them and just be really, really nice?
No, but there's no
We're
need
trying
for them to
find
be
things-
aggressive.
We're trying to find
hang on,
things
just
out.
just
We
on
don't
that
know
point,
whether
I'll
he's
say again,
aggressive.
we haven't got any quotes
we
of what he
don't know.
actually said.
Hmm.
We've got how she feels she was treated.
Well, surely she feels that way for a reason. Women have
then-
a gut
then
instinct.
surely
If
you
you
could-
don't feel like you're being treated well,
Then surely you can
Well,
provide
not
the
just
actual
women, people.
phrases.
Yeah.
Surely you can provide the actual phrases he used, so we can hear what he said,
And
rather
she's
than
not
how
done
she
that, has
felt
she not?
he was talking to
Yeah.
her. No, she says how she feels he
Feels-
was
okay.
talking, but she
Right.
doesn't provide the actual words that he said.
Well, she did say that he asked her, you know,
her
about
parents-
her parents'
Were they still
relationship and
together?
talked
Well-
about her choices on Spotify. I can't see how relevant that is
It could
to
be,
a job
it could
in
be as a
communication.
laugh, couldn't it?
But
You
is
go
that-
through
is that-
someone's
is that-
Spotify.
I mean, you know, I agree that those questions sound
Your
rather
parents together.
intrusive.
Well, I
but-
think they're
but-
inappropriate,
But
really.
is it not his right to ask these questions? He's interviewing her for a job. Surely, why
Well,
shouldn't
it's
he?
none
Why
of his
shouldn't he
business
ask
if
those
her
No.
parents are still
Well,
together
I
in
don't
a
think
job
we can
interview.
impose rules on
Yes,
people.
of course you can.
Of
Potential
course you
employers.
can. Of course you
You
can. I
could
mean, there
ask
are
her
rules.
even the
There's-
size of the
it's a
skirt she
ridiculous
wears.
thing
That
to
would be
do.
inappropriate, surely.
I mean,
I
I'm
think
no
it's
lawyer, but there
ridiculous.
is a law that actually does say what you can and can't ask people during job interviews, and obviously we
Is there
don't
a
know the
law?
full.
Yes,
A
there
law?
are, Kevin.
Yes,
There
yeah,
are
there
very
are.
strict laws. For example,
What,
you
you-
can't say to someone, "What are your baby plans?" For example, to a
Lots of
woman.
things you
whether or
can't
not your
ask them.
parents are together.
It has to
What's
be
the law
relevant
called?
to the job in
What's the law called?
question.
The job interview.
As I said, you said there are no laws. I'm
Act.
just saying there are laws. I'm not. If you want a legal expert on that, Kevin, go and get one. I mean, we're drifting off.
Get one. You're the one who made the
You're the one
claim.
that's asking the questions, sir. I mean, really,
No,
sometimes
no,
you've
no.
got-
But I think it's a job interview. If you're the kind of person who wants to make a job interview tough, you're trying to find things out about your potential employee. I mean,
We're going round in circles here because the only person that says the interview was tough is the woman concerned. We haven't actually heard in any detail what the questions were.
We're talking about
And
the
when
concept.
when you ask somebody about what's on their Spotify playlist, I mean, really, if you can't stand up and say, if someone says, "I don't like your choice of Bananarama," if you can't turn around and say, "I bet you like Dire Straits," then I wouldn't want you working with me anyway. I mean, really, I mean, what's on your Spotify playlist? And I've been bullied. Come on, we can do better than that, can't we?
Well, I think she claimed that he criticised her choices on Spotify, to be fair. But the point is, really, why were they even talking about that in a job interview? It should have been about her
because
ability
as
to
we
do
know
the
that
job.
all job seekers are warned about now is what you have on social media and what you have online can now form part of your working life. So if she's made comments about her music choices online, which is possible, or made comments about her parents' divorce on social media, which is possible, and her boss can see that, the prospective boss, I think it's within his rights to ask.
But then
We
it's
don't-
perfectly within her rights then to go onto Twitter and say,
Exactly.
that's what happened in my
Absolutely,
interview.
and she's done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would just be nice to hear exactly what he said, the actual
Maybe
words.
he doesn't have a Twitter account. Let's
But
ask him.
let's face it,
He does.
she's
He apologised
certainly-
on Twitter.
Oh, did he?
She's certainly shown that she's got the ability to make something go viral, so
She
that's going to
certainly
help
has.
her get the job.
I'm
in
not sure I'd
communication.
want to hire her, though, after what I've been reading in the papers. Anyway, lovely to hear your views, Honey Lancaster-James. I know you
Pleasure.
live around the corner. Have a lovely weekend. You're listening to the Matthew Wright Show. I think you've got an important announcement you can share with the listeners.